You can eat the most perfect diet and still not get what your body needs if your gut can't absorb it. You may be eating organic everything, all the vegetables, high quality protein, high quality supplements, doing everything right, and you're still bloated. You're still exhausted, you're still constipated, you may be dealing with thinning hair, low iron, brittle nails, maybe even some osteoporosis or osteopenia related to bone loss. So you go to your doctor and your doctor says, eat more calcium or take more iron, but you're already doing those things. The problem isn't actually what you're eating. The problem is your gut can't absorb it. Today I'm explaining why this happens and what actually needs to get fixed. Hi there, if we haven't met yet, I'm Erin Harner, Integrative Registered Dietitian Nutritionist and Gut Health Coach. And I help women understand why their gut isn't working the way it should and how to get it working better. And one of the most frustrating patterns I see is working with women who are doing everything right or doing everything their doctors told them to, but they're still suffering. Before we dive in, if you want access to understand where your gut function might be breaking down, check out my free gut clarity quiz. I've linked that below. In about 3 minutes, it'll help you understand what's going on in your gut and what the best next steps are for you. So let's talk about why a healthy diet doesn't always equal a healthy gut. I work with women all the time who are doing everything they've been told to do. They're eating organic foods. Maybe they've cut out gluten, maybe they've cut out dairy, maybe soy, maybe corn, maybe a long list of things. Tons of vegetables. They're taking expensive probiotics and multivitamins and all sorts of specialty supplements. And they come to me saying, hey, Erin, I'm doing everything I was told to do. I'm doing everything right, but I'm still bloated after every meal. Or I still can't poop every day. Or why is my energy so low? Like, I'm doing all the things. Or they go see their doctor, they get another DEXA scan and see that their bone density is actually lower than it should be. Maybe they are diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis, even when they're getting 1,200 milligrams of calcium every day. So here's what most people don't realize. Nutrition only works if your body can actually absorb it and take it in. You can eat the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. You can take the highest quality supplements, but if your gut can't break them down, it can't digest them, it can't absorb them into your bloodstream, and then they can't do the work they need to do in your body. They're just passing through your GI tract in one end and out the other, hopefully. So food in does not equal nutrients absorbed, and this is one of the missing pieces that gets completely missed in the whole clean eating conversation. Yes, of course we want to be eating cleaner, but we also need to be digesting and absorbing the nutrients we're taking in order for them to help us out. Everyone focuses on what to eat. Believe me, I know I'm a nutritionist, right? But nobody's asking, can your gut actually use what you're eating? And that's the big difference here. Let me give you a specific example of something I see pretty often. So a woman will come to me. She's been eating tons of leafy greens, lots of vegetables, some fruits and berries. She's taking calcium supplements. She's doing everything her doctor told her to do for bone health. But her DEXA shows osteopenia or osteoporosis. Her bone density is actually declining despite doing all the things on paper that she should be doing. Her doctor says, you need to eat more calcium, you need more vitamin D, add in some vitamin K, so she does. But here's what's actually happening. We review her diet and we review her supplements, and she's eating more calcium than she needs. The problem is that her gut's not actually absorbing it. Why? Because calcium absorption requires adequate stomach acid to break down food and actually release the minerals. A healthy gut lining is required to absorb those minerals into the bloodstream. You need sufficient vitamin D, which most people are deficient in. We need magnesium, which helps calcium get into the bones. And we need a healthy gut and a balanced microbiome that actually supports mineral absorption and uptake. If any of these pieces aren't working properly, it doesn't matter how much calcium she eats. It doesn't matter how much calcium she's taking in a supplement. It's not getting where it needs to go. The same is also true for things like iron, B vitamins, protein, healthy fats, all the things. Absorption in the gut is where nutrition actually happens. And most people's absorption is compromised, and that's a problem. So what actually breaks absorption? Let me walk through some main culprits. The first is low stomach acid. Your stomach is supposed to be super acidic. That acid breaks down proteins, activates digestive enzymes, and releases minerals from the food. I like to think of it like the first domino in the sequence of the chain of digestion. If the correct amount of stomach acid isn't being produced in the gut, that domino never tips over. For many women, especially as we age or under periods of chronic stress, we produce less stomach acid. When stomach acid is low, protein doesn't get broken down properly. Minerals like calcium, iron, and magnesium don't get released from food very well. You get bloated shortly after eating because food sits in your stomach too long. You might even develop some nutrient deficiencies despite having a diet that looks like it should provide everything you need. The second piece that's really important here is a compromised gut lining, and this is something I see all the time. I also like to think of it as a broken gut barrier. Your gut lining is supposed to be like a selective filter. I like to think of it like a coffee filter. It lets nutrients through into your bloodstream while keeping out toxins, bacteria, and undigested food particles that you don't want in there. When your gut lining is compromised, this is often called leaky gut or increased intestinal permeability. Nutrients don't get absorbed efficiently. Inflammation increases at the gut lining, which impairs absorption. Your immune system gets triggered, and you might develop food sensitivities. I also see enzyme deficiencies pretty commonly. Your body produces digestive enzymes in your stomach, your pancreas, and small intestine. And these enzymes are supposed to break down carbs, fats, and proteins at different parts in the digestive process. That way, once they're broken down, they can be absorbed. You can't absorb whole proteins that aren't broken down into smaller little dipeptides. You can't absorb nutrients that aren't broken down into little teeny tiny pieces. When enzyme production is insufficient, we see a host of things happening. We see food that doesn't get fully digested. We see partially digested food that starts to ferment in your gut, and this can lead to gas and bloating. We see nutrients that should be absorbed that just pass through. And fourth, we also see dysbiosis or bacterial imbalances. Your gut microbiome isn't just along for the ride. Certain bacteria actually help you absorb nutrients, things like vitamin B12, vitamin K2, and they support gut lining health. When your microbiome is out of balance, we have decreased nutrient absorption, we have increased inflammation, and you might become deficient in nutrients that your bacteria normally help produce, things like vitamin K. We also pretty commonly see increases in fermentation and bloating because the food's just not broken down. So all of these issues can actually exist even when you're eating a perfect diet. And this is part of the problem. Here's a term that you need to know: bioavailability. Bioavailability means how much of a nutrient your body can actually absorb and use. Just because a food contains a nutrient doesn't mean that your body can actually access it. Let me give you a quick example. Spinach is super high in calcium, but it's not very bioavailable because the compounds called oxalates bind to the calcium. You might be eating a lot of iron-rich foods, but if your stomach acid is low, you're not absorbing much of it. Or you might be taking an expensive probiotic, but if your gut terrain is inflamed and imbalanced, those bacteria can't do what they need to do. This is why I say function before food perfection. We need to make sure the digestive system is working well so that that amazing diet that you're eating is actually getting utilized and absorbed and taken into the body so it can do the good that you want it to do. If your digestive function is compromised, the quality of your food matters a whole lot less because you're not getting the benefits from it. So when a client comes to me eating really well but still bloated and backed up, here are some things that I look at and some questions that I like to ask. First, starting at the top, can your stomach actually break down the food you're eating? Do you have adequate stomach acid? Are you producing enough enzymes? Are you eating in a stress state, which actually shuts down digestion? Is your gut lining intact? Can it absorb the nutrients that you're eating effectively? Is there inflammation that's blocking absorption? Is your microbiome balanced? Do you have beneficial bacteria that support nutrient absorption? Or is dysbiosis creating some problems in your gut? Are you actually digesting the food that you're eating before it reaches the colon? Or is undigested food sitting in the gut, fermenting, causing bloating, and robbing you of nutrients? These questions actually matter way more than whether you're eating all organic or not, or how many vegetables you're eating. A woman can actually be eating the cleanest diet in the world, but if her stomach acid is low, her gut lining is compromised, and her microbiome is out of balance, she's going to be deficient. And that's exactly what I see all the time. Women with perfect diets who are anemic, B12 deficient, low in vitamin D, or struggling with bone density, losing hair, exhausted all the time. The food isn't the problem. Absorption is. And this also might be why your expensive supplements might not be working. If your gut can't absorb the nutrients from food, it probably can't absorb the nutrients from your supplements very well either. I've seen women taking high quality probiotics for months with no improvement. Why? Because the gut terrain is so inflamed and imbalanced that those bacteria can't survive or colonize. I've seen women taking iron supplements that aren't raising their levels. Why? Because their stomach acid is too low to absorb the iron that they're taking effectively. Supplements can be incredibly helpful, but they work best in the right forms when the gut is functioning properly. This is why I focus on restoring gut function first. When the terrain is right, food and supplements can actually do the job that we want them to do. So if you've been eating really well, but you're still bloated, backed up, fatigued, exhausted, still dealing with nutrient deficiencies or declining bone density, the problem probably isn't your diet. It's what your gut is able to do with the food that you're eating. It's your gut's ability to actually absorb what you're eating. And that's totally fixable, but it requires addressing function and not just food. And this is where function meets nutrition, also known as functional nutrition. We're not just looking at what's on your plate, but what's underlying, what's going on in the digestive tract. Can you even absorb what you're eating? If you want to understand where your gut function might be breaking down, take my free gut clarity quiz. I've linked it below. It takes about 3 minutes and it'll give you some personalized insights based on your specific symptoms. And if you want to go deeper in understanding what's going on in your specific gut and where you keep getting stuck, I have a free training below called Bloated and Backed Up: the 3 gut rhythm mistakes draining your energy and confidence. In that training, I walk through the 3 most common patterns that I see and how to address them. The link's also in the description. Your gut doesn't need perfect food. It needs to actually work well and function properly so it can actually use the food that you're already eating. And if this was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more gut health content that goes way beyond the typical eat this, not that advice. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.